Today we have with us Dipankar Bhattacharya, the General Secretary of CPIML. Sir, my question to you would be, when NRC is not yet fully finalized, how come CA has been implemented? What is your stand on it?
See, we are absolutely opposed to the CAA because it completely subverts the idea of citizenship, the principles of citizenship in the constitution. So, and I think Assam, from the very beginning, the people of Assam have made it absolutely clear that they do not want CAA. Even the NRC, which the government said and the people believed, that would be a perfect list of Indian citizens, and after which there will be a closure. There will be a closure on this issue, who is a citizen and who is not a citizen. Nobody will be harassed by saying that you are not a citizen. But then we got a list after a process of tremendous harassment. Everybody had to suffer a lot. So basically what the NRC has produced is a list of undocumented citizens. So I think undocumented citizens in every country of the world, you have some citizens who may not have documents. So the point is, if there is a lack of documentation, so then there has to be a process of producing valid documents, because you cannot expect in a country like India, where even Narendra Modi is not able to show his degree after so many years, you cannot expect a landless poor person, somebody, a migrant worker, a woman who gets married and moves to her in-laws' place, to have all those necessary documents. So I think unnecessarily a lot of people have suffered a lot of harassment, and Assam is also not happy with whatever NRC has come. So these are all issues which basically the BJP has created, and now during the elections you can see that they are keeping completely silent about it. And in fact in West Bengal they had promised that we will bring CAA. And interestingly, both NRC and CAA, in a way, it involves Bangladesh. Because in NRC, you say that a lot of people have come illegally from Bangladesh. So my simple question is, if people have come illegally from Bangladesh, where do you want to send them back? Definitely we'll have to send them back to Bangladesh. If you want to send them back to Bangladesh, who should you talk to with? You first need to talk to Bangladesh. But till now, this issue of illegal so-called infiltration and their deportation back to Bangladesh is not on the agenda of bilateral agenda of India and Bangladesh. You will see Narendra Modi, he will be visiting Bangladesh on the 50th Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh's independence. So he will talk about a lot of things. He won't talk about this thing, that there is a lot of infiltration from Bangladesh. The other thing is, when we are bringing in CAA, now what is the presumption? The presumption is that a lot of people in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, the minority communities there, especially Hindus, now they are being persecuted. They need justice. But the point is, it's true, there are cases of persecution. Like here, minorities are being persecuted, there also minorities are being persecuted. So in every democracy, minorities should have their dignity, they should have their right. And in fact, the way a democracy treats the minorities is a real test, litmus test for how mature and how functional and how serious the democracy is. Now the thing is, if you have people who have come from Bangladesh and till date, if they have not got citizenship, so you did not have to amend the citizenship law to give them citizenship. Even the earlier citizenship law, that was good enough to provide citizenship to anybody, any deserving candidate who should have become Indian citizen but have not got it for some reason or whatever. Now, this government just came up with an excuse. So neither CAA or this whole flawed NRC exercise in Assam, I think it holds ground, and both have been flawed. CAA is an absolute mockery with the whole idea of citizenship and with the constitution. And I think this election, both interestingly in Bengal and Assam, these are important issues, but BJP is keeping quiet. They think that they can just brush it aside, and they are saying after the vaccine, Amit Shah, he explains chronology according to his own convenience. So now his new chronology is after COVID, after the vaccination is over. What has vaccination got to do with CAA, framing CAA rules? So here in Bengal, some people are asking, you have brought CAA, but where are the rules? If you don't have the rules, then the CAA won't get implemented. So neither NRC nor CAA, everything is in a process, and this process is actually, to tell you honestly, this is just power politics for the BJP. This is BJP's politics to divide the people and to gain power and stay in power. They don't want to solve anything.
Well, Article 6 of Assam Accord has been a long time demand for everyone. What do you think about this?
No, I think, see, there are plenty of issues concerning Assam, fulfillment of Assam Accord. If you come to Karbi Anglong, for example, here, people have been demanding implementation of 244A for decades. So there are many pending demands, and which are very legitimate demands. And definitely there has to be a comprehensive approach, holistic approach, and all these demands should be fulfilled. But today, when you can see the way government has treated Kashmir, Kashmir had Article 370, the maximum constitutional protection. So here is a case where a state which had constitutional guarantee, constitutional protection, and that constitutional protection has been snatched away from Kashmir. And not only that, one could understand, okay, if it is just a case of 370, but by disabling 370, the government of India has also snatched away Kashmir's statehood. This is the first time in Indian history that a full-fledged state has been reduced to a couple of union territories. Now in Delhi, which is demanding full statehood, now the government has come up with a bill giving more powers to the LG, so that Delhi becomes a colony of Amit Shah. Similarly, I think here in Assam, people will understand, in Karbi Anglong you are demanding 244A. So here is a government which is completely inimical to the whole idea of federalism. Now you cannot govern a country like India. It's a vast country, it's a diverse country, it's a complex country. So diversity is the lifeblood of India. Diversity defines India. And if anybody wants to defy, diversity defines India. But if you want to defy diversity and bulldoze it, steamroll it, and impose some kind of uniformity, then India will not survive. So here is a government which doesn't respect the constitution, which doesn't respect the structure of India, the diversity of India. So now I think people are understanding that to get what Assam needs its due, Karbi Anglong needs its due, Kashmir needs its due, everybody needs our due. But we cannot get our due as long as you have this government which is inimical to the constitution and to the constitutional promise of federalism, secularism, and democracy.
Well, the ruling government has been seen, when you talk about diversity, how about secularism? Because we have seen that the ruling government is targeting a particular community, especially the minority groups, and secularism is not at all seen. What is your view on it?
No, I think India has to be secular. This is in our constitutional amendment. I mean, it is in the preamble. Of course, in the initial preamble, the word was not there, but the spirit was there. And after the 42nd Amendment, the word has also been inserted. So India is, if India has to survive, India can only grow, survive, and advance as a secular democratic country. So secularism, democracy, federalism, for me, these are all part of a package. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot have democracy without secularism. You cannot have secularism without democracy. You cannot have democracy without federalism. You cannot have federalism without democracy. So this is a package which the BJP government is deliberately trying to dismantle, trying to destroy, and this is going to prove absolutely disastrous for India.
Thank you so much.